I got this light green one that barely does anything to me anymore. So, but who knows?
Yeah. I have many past foam rollers that I've just put into the foam roller graveyard because they're just they especially the foam ones, they just lose their tightness and their density. So it's life, ebb and flow. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about lower back pain and really just help you and anybody that watches this in the future learn the keys to helping get through lower back pain, why lower back pain is caused, all this different stuff. Now, let me explain who this video is not for. This video is not for people that have herniated discs. This is not for people that have, other issues that they've had like surgery on in their lower back, okay? So I'm prefacing this, I'm not a doctor, blah, 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 blah. Go see your physician. Now, with all that out of the way, we're going to dig into what Pat's lower back pain is today, and I've helped a lot of people improve their lower back health as well as get out of back pain. So I don't even know what Pat's dealing with, so I'm excited to hear and just try to see how we can serve him and help anyone that watches this in the future. So Pat, what was it, a specific injury? Was it something that just came on all of a sudden? What are we dealing with?
I'm not sure if I injured myself, but just showed up one day. I would describe it as pins and needles, like a numbness in the center of my back, just to the right-hand side of my spine. And I'm hoping that what it is over the past weekend, so this weekend and weekend before, okay, and I went to New Hampshire and I had to carry Sawyer for like 4 or 5 miles because we forgot our stroller.
Yeah. Dad injury.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely had a couple of those when I first had Kai, because it's wild. Like, you don't realize how holding a giant sack of potatoes, aka your son, can have it can really mess up the alignment and everything like that. Now, there's many ways that I go about lower back pain stuff. I look at, number one, what Pat just told me. Number two, we need to just think of other external factors that may be causing this problem. And anybody that's watching this video, diet should not be your problem, okay? So if you're this far down the rabbit hole, if it's an inflammatory diet issue, that is something that we should have cleaned up, if not are cleaning up. Now that's literally the first thing, and people think I'm crazy when I say lower back pain and diet and blah, 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 but it's the key. So we know that's not you. So number two, the other things that we look at are, number one, we look at footwear, okay? And I'm gonna pull up my footwear right now. So what I like doing is I like going to shoe stores that have good quality assessments of how you move and how you walk and things like that. So me and Pat both live in Westboro, so we have an awesome shoe store called PR Running. And PR Running is awesome because they will check your gait. They will see what your foot does, whether it pronates or supinates. So they'll set you up with the shoe that's right for you. So I, for years, was wearing New Balance, and then I switched over to Brooks, and so game changer. Now, this is important. Also, how if you have a solid insole. So this one is hard, okay? So this actually keeps my plantar fascia from overly stretching and causing that a problem, because that was my first issue I came up against when I was a lot younger. It was plantar fascia / lower back pain / hip stuff. So it's all interrelated, and that's why I bring it up. So that's something. And I also, I buy 2 pairs of the same shoe. So I have this exact same shoe, and I literally switch them out every day. So every other day I'll wear this shoe and I'll take these out and put them in the new shoe and blah, blah, blah. And it just gives the shoe a chance to come back and allows it to just, because, I mean, we're big dudes, and really any human above 100 pounds, that's 100 pounds pushing on a nice foam surface. So that's just another side trick. Do I think that's your thing? No. We're gonna just work out some fascial tissue for you today. There's so many instances where people are dealing with all these specific things, and it's narrowing down that and going down this rabbit hole. Hydration and all that stuff. Now, like you said, I from what you explained, I truly believe it's probably along those lines as well when it comes to kids. So I'm going to show you the different ways that we foam roll this, because you do have to be careful whenever you're rolling near the spine. You just have to make sure you're being safe. And sometimes, this is even more interesting, sometimes the lower back pain has nothing to do with the lower back. It has to do with the front of the hips. So we're going to go through all the different protocol and then the strengthening piece of this. And I've had many people no pain in 3 days. So that's our goal today. So what we're going to do to start is we're just going to foam roll it out and make sure it's feeling good. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to start, and Pat, you can join with me. We're going to start we're going to kind of hit this part of our body, then our hips, then our back. So we're going to kind of get it all just to hit all of our bases. So the first one, and there's many levels of this, guys. So if this is your first time watching this and this is too aggressive, go back and watch the other foam rolling videos. Okay, so basically the other foam rolling videos would be this foot down. Me and Pat have been rolling for a while, so this is something that's okay for us. And we'll switch to the other hamstring. Our hamstring's okay, Pat?
They're fairly good.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely want to. Glute is where they're really tight right now.
Your what is?
Glutes.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's going to be, to be honest with you. That, honestly, 9 times out of 10, lower back pain, it all stems from the hips. And people don't know. So that's what we're going to get into. Cool. So we got those. It can also, the reason I hit all these angles is just to make sure that we're getting into our ITs. So our IT bands. And if you're feeling like a gangster, going up 2 feet. Woo.
I'll keep the profanity to a minimum.
Yeah. I just figure if I'm gonna roll, I might as well go big with you right here.
Yeah.
All right, switch. This will be my rolling for the day. You have the day off, Pat?
I only work till noon on most Fridays.
Nice.
That way I can work on marketing stuff.
That's right. We talked about that. That's great.
But one thing, especially for people who don't roll often, one hip is always tighter than the other one, it seems.
Yes. Yes. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about strengthening and mobility stuff throughout the entire program. So we're just getting this party started. So now we're going to go into quads. Actually, do you guys have a medicine ball there?
Small one, yeah.
If you have a medicine ball, grab that too, because there is one angle that I like to use medicine balls for. All right, so now we'll go to quads. We're gonna roll into our quads, and if you're feeling like you can handle it, go figure 4 on the back of your leg. Roll 1 quad at a time. If this is too aggressive, then you can always put your foot down on the other side. And switch. And if you find a place that's aggressively painful, that's where you need to do some extra work,
Right.
unless it's like pain. And if you foam rolled for a while, if you're watching this video and you foam rolled for a while, then you know the difference between pain and foam
We were
roll.
rolling with you at the gym. It got to the point where I started rolling with a PVC pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, you roll long enough, you learn to be, many people.
You want the pain. You want a little bit of discomfort.
You're almost a glutton for punishment, unfortunately. So now this is where, so you can use, so I'm going to show it just for the people.
Yep.
You can use this. So basically you're bringing your leg up. You can use this to roll. So you're rolling inside here into the groin, but I like the med ball, hard med ball. It accesses this in a whole nother way.
Yeah, it makes you want to cry.
Yeah, this is a whole different subset. Any horseback riders, this is game changer for you. Yeah, it's just a different ball game with the big med ball here.
Is it Andy in our group who does basketball?
Andy does a little basketball.
This is beautiful for this. You don't tweak it when you take a big step.
Yep. So a lot of times people don't realize it could be an adductor issue leading to knee pain and or back pain. It's all interconnected. That's the crazy part about all this. So the first key is to loosen it up and then strengthen it. And then if we have to, we can stretch it. All right. And now we're going to enter our hips here. So this one's hard for people to kind of do and learn, but the key is we're looking for where we hinge at our hips. So right here where we hinge at our hips, and you're going to literally get that part on your hip here. I'm going to push this back really well. So step one, the hinged part of your hip is right on the foam roller. Okay, I'm almost to the side a little bit, but not all the way to the side. My front of my hip is leaning on the foam roller. Then I take my arm, I straighten it down, and I'm just lying down on it, okay? The top leg, this leg right here, is straight. The bottom leg is bent backwards. Exactly, Pat. Now, some people get here and they're like, oh my God. And it's already way too intense for them. So what I have them do is I just have them just chill here, okay? Now, once they get comfortable, I have them just roll side to side. So they're not rolling up and down on the roller, they're rolling forward and backwards. So it's here to here. And if you find, so some people, it's literally like on the side of them, you want it to be on your hip, folks. So if you're rolling and you're near your rib cage, something's wrong. And then level 2 of this, folks, looks like this. So your knee, your bottom knee, and your foot are off the ground. That takes it to another level. And then level 3, I call the tick-tock. So this one's off. It goes tick-tock. And you can always refer to the video on this movement. How did that feel, Pat?
Felt good. I mean, I haven't done it in a while, so of course it's all tight, so it feels like the muscles are being worked, but didn't hurt me, wasn't over strenuous, so okay.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So now is the moment where when people come to me with a lot of pain, I start them with a tennis ball before I start them with a lacrosse ball. So if
nobody can hear you over here, bro.
So tennis ball versus lacrosse ball. Some people prefer tennis ball. That's fine. It will still work for this. Okay, so we're going to get into the side of our hip pocket right here. Okay, so you're looking for your hip bone, and you're going to literally put this right behind it. There's like a little divot there. And what you're going to do is you're going to get into a lying down position in your just opening and closing. And you're almost kind of like rolling around on that ball there to try to find different angles and different places where it may not feel absolutely great.
May not feel absolutely great.
Yeah, that was a nice way of putting it, right?
Eating at McDonald's may cause heartburn. It might.
It just might.
Son of a...
So we may have just found a piece of the puzzle there, Pat, it sounds like. And for those of you that start swearing at the screen that are watching this later, you probably found part of the problem.
I'm good at swearing.
So if that's you, completely understand. You're not alone. So that's that side. Let's go. You know, while we're here, we will get to the other side. I kind of like just working around. So now let's go just that same glute that you were just rolling the side of it. So you were just rolling your medius and minimus. Now we're going to roll our maximus. And the way we do this is level one, whatever glute you're rolling, that leg stays straight. So we're just kind of rolling around on it. That's not really where we want it, though. That's not really where we want people to be. We want people to work to at least level 2 because this opens your piriformis. So the leg, so if you guys can see, the ball is under the leg that's bent up and over. Okay, and you're just kind of rolling around. And I can see by Pat's face he's not too happy with this one. And level
I know it works, so I'm not unhappy with that.
Oh, this is going to work. So level 3 is you just drop that forearm of the side that you're rolling on, and that just takes it to another wincing level.
Now,
And that,
people who haven't done it in a while or haven't done it at all, should you be sore after this the next day?
what'd you say?
So for people who don't roll often or haven't rolled, should you be sore the next day?
That's a great question. Sometimes people are. Like, we'll just do rolling, and then, so let's go to the other glute right now. We'll just do rolling. Like, when people first came to my gym, the first day they come in, majority of the people, I just foam roll and I do warm up with them. And if they're excessively out of shape, there's a very good chance they'll be sore. But there's two factors there. Like foam rolling, especially when you do it the way that I show, it releases a lot of, like, it's kind of like getting a deep tissue massage. You're releasing a lot of toxins and acids and things like that. So anytime you get a full body massage, they're like, make sure you drink a lot of water today.
Yep.
You know, it's the same idea. And if you're watching this video and you're at this point and you're not drinking enough water, I don't know how to help you. So, because we're already past that one. That's like week 1 stuff. So now we're going to go back to this other hip, and it'll be interesting to see how different this one is to the other one, Pat.
This one's good. And
Yeah, it tends to be one or the other.
The pain is actually on the opposite side of this too, so it's interesting.
So the pain's on the opposite side of the one you're working on?
Correct. It's the right-hand side. I'm doing the left hip right now.
Okay, but the left hip was, or the right hip was worse, correct?
It was brutal. Yep.
And is that the side the pain's on?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. But it's not always the case. It's weird. Like, I have some people that it's the opposite. It's always different.
Sure.
But what I find is that what you're going to have, I love going to a good PT that's very hands-on. And you can be hands-on with yourself too. You know?
That's awkward.
And save yourself a trip, you know? But it is good to seek help when needed. So that's that. So there's the hips. And so now that we've rolled the hips out, we're gonna, after we do these last 2 things, or last 3 things, then we're gonna get into just getting everything activated and mobilized a little bit, loosened up. Because pain, so this is one big key thing I want everybody to understand. Pain and tightness are both your body protecting you, okay? So pain is saying, hey, I'm hurt, stop. Us humans, unfortunately, tend to not like to listen to that. So when you have pain, make sure you stop, okay? And then tightness is your body's way of like keeping you safe. So if you have tight hamstrings, a lot of times it's a lack of strength in your abdominal muscles. So if you get stronger in the front side, your lower back and your hips and your glutes and your hamstrings loosen up, because it's yin and yang, you know? If you are doing one thing, you're going to have every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when we get to our lower back part here, there's two ways I focus on this. Number one, you can use a lacrosse ball here, or you can use a foam roller. If you're going to use a lacrosse ball, you have to be very careful. You do not put it on your spine at all. We never put that on our spine. We put it next to, okay? So I just kind of like finding a spot next to it, and I can just lie there. Now, with that being said, Pat, what I want you to try before you do that.
Yep.
So that's like once you've found it with the foam roller, then you can kind of play with it. So this is what I do next. And then I will repeat this for people that didn't hear it at the beginning. If you have a burst disc or bursitis or anything dealing with spinal issues, do not do this next one, okay? So I never did this with clients like that had that type of issue, but most people it's just a loosening issue. So here I have my hands underneath my legs and my knees I'm just basically like hugging my hands. And what I do is I'm rolling to one side and touching my elbow, rolling to my other side. So I'm literally just going side to side on it. How are we feeling?
I'm not in love with you right now.
Yeah, so that's another area. And this is where we're now just like the hips are the problem. This is where the hips are connecting to the lower back. So now we're hitting that other issue there. All right. So that's that. And now the next and last part is just going. So whenever I'm working on an issue with somebody, I'm looking above and below the issue because usually that's where the pain is stemming from. So there's two ways we can do it. We can either use the foam roller. This is 2 tennis balls duct taped together. So we call this the MacGyver ball. So the MacGyver ball, what we do is kind of the area where and you could try this on your own if you wanted, but kind of the area that you were saying, like it's not so much lower back, it's a little bit higher. So it's like middle back, like kidney area, right? So what we do is we just put it, and the nice part about this ball is your spine goes here, so it's not bothering your spine, and this is just hitting the outside of it. So what it does is you're just here, and you bend your knees, so your knees are up, and then you're going one arm, and you're just breathing while you're going through it. And this is also a phenomenal thoracic spine mobilization. So I just did it there. Now I can bring it up a little bit more, and I can do it again. Whew. Okay, so that's one way. Next way is the foam roller here. So the foam roller is cool because you can actually do like a hug. So you're rolling. Whoop. So we're just going to get our upper back now, just hit all our bases, and then I'm going to show you how to do the the thoracic spine roller coaster. All right, so now I'm going to have you try this out, Pat. So you're going to put this right underneath your mid back. So it's mid back. You don't want to be on lumbar at all now. You're not at the lower back at all. So like just around the middle back. And this is what's hard for people. You have to keep your bicep connected to your cheekbone at all times, so it never comes off. So if you watch me, I'm just keeping that cheekbone and that bicep together, and we're just going back. And when we come back up, we're just going to slide down a little bit more. Next vertebrae, going back, we're coming back up. A little bit more. Next. A little bit more. Next. A little bit more. Next. We're working through all that. And you may not be able to touch the ground if you're first doing this. And don't cheat and take your biceps off your your cheekbones because I want to get the full experience here, folks. Cool. And anybody that works a desk job, this one's pretty huge because it's the opposite of the things that you're doing on a regular basis. All right.
Feels like one.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so that's that. Now that we have worked through our fascial tissue, now we are going to activate and turn everything on and then mobilize it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do what I call the hip protocol. So got to grab a mini band. You can grab green, yellow, or blue. So blue would probably be the hardest. I'm going to use green for me today. So what you're going to do, guys, so you want to, especially when you're trying to get out of pain, you don't need something crazy. You're just trying to get it to work. So you're going to put that over
shave your legs.
yeah, and shave, yeah, right. I find once you get good at putting it on, you have to just really stretch it. A lot of people are afraid these are going to break, but you could get these to go far. All right, so now the goal here is to do a couple different things. So we start on one side. So we start on one side, and we're in that clamshell position again. This time, though, it's really important, folks, to make sure you get this forearm to be locked to the ground there. If it's not locked to the ground, you're going to be rotating at the lumbar spine. We don't want that. We only want hip rotation right now. And since this is specifically where Pat was, there was a lot of tightness and discomfort in this particular area in that joint. So we want to really make sure we're just working there. So we're going to do 10 of these. Once we get 10 there, then we're going to go up. And this one, we're going to now do a hip extension, and we're pushing our heels into the ground, right? And everybody's going to be different. So when you extend through, and if you don't feel it in your butt, and you feel it up here, or if you're feeling it more in your hamstrings or even in your quads, you may need to move your feet further away or closer. It all depends on the person. Everybody's different. So now, here, you might feel your butt starting to fire. You might feel it starting to activate. If you don't, you can also do like a light march. So what I mean by that is like half of an inch off the ground. Your heels come literally only half an inch. Because what happens is a lot of times people's hips start to drop when they go, but you got to keep that full extension going while you're doing it. So you're either doing a 10 count, staying still, or you're doing a 10 count with your marching. Okay? And then, once you've gotten that done, then you're going to go to the other side. And we are doing, make sure you get your forearm down, and we're doing 10 more clamshells. Awesome. Now, we're going to come back up. We're going to do 10 more hip raises. Okay? Marching. And now we're going to drop those down. And we're coming back to where we started. And I'd like to go through it one more time. So we're here. And there's two great reasons that we're doing this. Number one, we are activating the specific muscles that are causing the problem. We're adding a little bit of strength work. So it's going to help loosen up the tense and tight issues in our lower back. Now we're going back up. Do this one more time. And then one more time on the other side. All right. Cool. So now, that's the hip protocol. And now we can do a little bit of loosening as well. So we're gonna just kind of try to mobilize it a little bit also. So what we're gonna do to start is we're gonna get set in a quadruped position. Quadruped, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it's called quadruped. And you're gonna extend one arm and then make sure it's the opposite leg. So we're going straight out and we're just good control. Then we're bringing knee to elbow. You're out, knee to elbow. We're gonna do about 10 of these on one side. If there's any pain when we're doing this, guys, we're gonna stop it. Any pain, we stop. Once you're good with that, and we go to the other side. Once you've gotten 10 on that other side, then we're gonna do a little bit of cat-cow. So we're gonna go pushing out, drop it in, bring it out. Ten of those. And one other thing I forgot to put into this protocol is I would have actually, when we went from foam rolling to the other things before I did the activation, I would have actually done breathing drills with people, because that was a big player in helping me get healthy. So we're gonna just do that now. Anyway, so when you're doing your breathing drills, guys, you're gonna start your feet up against the wall, lying here. And we're gonna start breathing through our diaphragm, so getting our belly to rise. So you can either put something on your belly or put your hand on your belly. And your left arm, if possible, as long as it's not injured, can go up. Your right hand is on your belly. You're making sure your rib cage is locked down. You don't want your rib cage rising up, okay? And you're doing some diaphragmatic breathing. So you're gonna breathe through your nose and get your belly to rise. And then you're gonna hold it for about a second or two, and then you're gonna breathe out through your belly and gonna breathe out through your mouth like you're blowing through a balloon. While you do that, you're really pushing your lower back into the ground and getting really just getting all that oxygen out. So we're gonna do that about 5, 10 times. Breathing in and then breathing out, pushing your lower back into the ground, really activating the core musculature. All right, cool. All right, last couple here. How are we feeling, Pat? We all right?
I'm good.
All right. Now, we are, we're just gonna get so there's two ways we could do this. We can get our upper back. We can just do our thoracic spine just to make sure it's not, we're not dealing with it, that type of issue. The way this will work is you have your hands right out, right, pretty much underneath your shoulders, maybe a little bit, maybe underneath your head is probably a more accurate depiction. And then you're going to sit back onto your heels, and you're going to take your hand, and you're not pushing on your head, but you're just going to rotate your elbow in to touch your opposite knee. And then when you let it out, you're going to go up as high as you can. You're going to look up at your elbow. And then you're going in, and you're coming out. We're getting some good. And the reason we sit our butt on our heels, folks, is so that you're not rotating in your lumbar spine. It's all up in your thoracic spine, which is where we want to be. Once you've gotten 10 on one side, you can go 10 on the other. Now the next piece of this puzzle, guys, is and the last piece that I do with people, as long as there's no pain here, is just a little bit of plank work. Just because if we can get our abdominals turned on and firing, a lot of times that removes a lot of the tightness and pain and stuff from the backside of us. So we start basic plank here, just holding. A lot of times people don't know that they're either here or here, so we need to make sure that they can see themselves. That looks great, Pat. And a level 2 would just be bringing knee up, so just bending at your knee. And now that just brings it up a level. Level 3 would be arm. And a lot of times people don't realize they're rotating. So what I always do is I just have them put something on their back, just so that they know what they're doing. So you just put something on your back. So then if you do rotate, it'll fall off. So you're really making sure you're activating and you're doing it right. And some people can't do that, especially early on in if they're really feeling pain, that's not the case, but that's where we're gonna work towards. Were you okay, Pat?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the last piece here, guys, is some people do need a little bit of static stretching. I'm not a big fan of static stretching for all people, especially for a lot of females don't need a lot of static stretching because they're very hypermobile. A lot of females tend to be hypermobile. And of course, there are some males that are that way too. But with this specific one, I like to cover all my bases. And what it looks like here, so there's 3 that I like to do. The first one is a kneeling hip flexor activation. Where am I going to be? I want to be right there. Okay. So I usually put a pillow underneath my knee when I do this one. So you're here. And the biggest key to this one, folks, is whatever toe is down, that's the toe that's pushing into the ground, okay? So to get it to activate a little bit, we're gonna push that in the ground. Whatever knee is up, the opposite arm. So whatever knee is down, that arm goes up. If the knee is up, your arm stays down, okay? So it's kind of the opposite. Knee down, arm up. Knee up, arm down, okay? And you're just pushing into that toe. Just pushing that toe into the ground. You're gonna feel a nice activative stretch on your quad and hip flexor I'm doing my left side right now. And then once you get about 10 toe pushes, you're gonna switch to the other side. And I always put my hand, I put my opposite hand just on my rib cage, just so it's not like my rib cage isn't leaning back. I want to pretend like there's like string coming out of my head, and I'm being as tall as I could possibly be. Awesome. Last two. So this next one, we're going to do, it's a glute stretch. So there's a couple ways you can do it. So first way is you can do it lying on the ground, and then I'm going to show you how to do it standing straight up. So you just take it over and you just bring it across, and then you're just grabbing through. So you reach your hand through that hole, grab behind your leg. And I like to put my elbow on the knee that's bent so I can push that out, and I'm just pulling towards me. I get a nice little hip stretch there. How's that one feel?
Definitely feel it.
Yeah. So it's definitely a hip thing for you at this point in time.
Yeah.
Which is usually 90% of the cases I work with, it all is the hip. Unless they come in and they've said they have a herniated disc or something. And switch, go the other side.
Yeah, it's absolutely the right hip.
Yep. So we found it. And the thing is, like, once you find it and you know, you can start really spending a little extra time on that side just till the pain kind of settles.
Right.
You know, so we're working both sides, and you want to always do both sides just to make sure everything's even, but it's also something where you'll of course spend a little extra time on that. So that's the first way you could do it. And then once you, like, you know, a day or two after, I find that's a nice one because you're on the ground, but then like a day or two after, I like turning it into more of a dynamic piece here. So I'm going to show you. So this is pretty cool because it adds a little mobility to the hip hinge as well. So you start off, you're going here, and then when you come back up, you bring your knee up and over, and you're sitting into it. So you're going here, so single leg hip hinge, here. So not only are you getting some mobility there, but you're also getting some awesome balance work as well. And we would hit that with both sides. And I'm a big fan of people doing this with no shoes on as well, guys, just because then you can get a little foot strength. However, if you have a plantar fascial issue, feel free to leave your shoes on. And lastly, this is where it gets real. So this last one is going to be the best quad stretch we have. Okay. So what you're going to do, you place a pillow on the ground. You're going to put that knee on the ground, and you're going to bring that foot up. Bring that foot up so it's like this. And then you get that knee up, and you're slowly rising up until you're up. And I find if people get foot cramps, just do it with your shoe on. And whatever knee is down, you can also put that arm up. Put your hand on your rib cage so you're not overly extending. And then, you know, the better you get, the more you're going to be able to get your butt to your heel. Like, as you can see, my butt's touching my heel here, but it takes a little while. It's kind of aggressive. That's good. Feel that in your quad? Yeah. Yeah, that's the best quad stretch on the planet. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. So I find if you do that for like 2-3 days, by the third day, people usually call me and they're like, pain gone. You know, which makes total sense. And like, as you guys can see, you do this, you're breaking a little sweat there, you know? So a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm in pain, I can't work out. We just did a workout, you know, it was just different than what we thought it was. So that's the nice part is you can get a workout and you can get your hips right and you can get your back right. Like my off days, I'm doing this stuff in my off days. This is what I do. And I've been doing it for many years just because, you know, ever since I was a freshman in high school, I had hip issues, you know, my hips just always been a problem. So it wasn't until I started strengthening my core, strengthening my hips, then things just get better, you know? So yeah, hopefully this fixes the dad in you and we are good to go. Any other questions, Pat?
No, that was perfect. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Good luck this weekend.